Topic 2. Loot boxes have become a fixture of the video game landscape. They are a mechanic that has players use real money for the chance to win randomized rewards. They have been criticized as a form of exploitation since it encourages high spending for the slim chance of a desired reward, among other reasons. Should loot boxes be considered an acceptable form of profit making? Does it matter that loot boxes have caused people to go bankrupt? And should loot boxes be in games specifically targeted to minors? All right, loot boxes, you guys know them, right? Like, I feel like if you're on this platform, you should at least have an idea what a loot box is. But still,
I don't know what that is. I have no idea what a loot box is. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right, toss you off. Yeah, if just in case you don't know, again, it's just an excuse to get people to use microtransactions over and over again, right? Like if you hide a shiny piece of armor that people want behind a loot box, well, they'll just keep paying mindlessly until they get that loot box. It's a thing that happens. Should this thing be a legitimate form? I'll get to that later. So we'll do opening statements and we'll go from there. Opening statement from Matt, but he doesn't know what it is, so I guess we can skip them. So let's go. Now Latin, go ahead.
Reverse. Start from top. Okay.
Oh, we can do reverse. That's fine. I can gather my thoughts and decide how much shame I want to project into the channel.
All right. We'll go straight to the UK. Sneak debate, man.
Pro debater.
Effective the Atom virus. He's
running that. I didn't realize I'd muted myself. I think I'm okay with loot boxes. I mean, I think the issue is not like the contents of the loot box and the mechanic of the loot box. It's the way in which they're purchased and who is purchasing them. And I think really the responsibility there falls on the person who's buying them, right? If you're spending like your rent money on loot boxes, man, I don't think that's a problem with loot boxes. I think it's your problem, right? It's your own fault, right? Like if you find them exploitative or you don't want to engage in that market, just fucking don't, man. I think if the loot boxes affects the actual gameplay, they're like you get more powerful from owning these items from the loot boxes, I think that's bad for the game, right? I don't think people are going to play the game if the game is play to win, right? People aren't going to want to engage with that. And if it's just cosmetics, man, and you're willing to spend that much on cosmetics, man, I think you're fucking stupid, man. I'm here in my base skin, still kicking your ass. How embarrassing is that? You're getting whooped by someone in base skin when you spent like $600 on this fucking like primo skin. Like, how fucking embarrassing of you? You're getting absolutely whipped by me. It's terrible, right? But if you want to do that, yeah, go ahead, right? Like, fucking go nuts, right? You might not be able to buy the thing that you want to buy, but like it keeps the game alive. I mean, it does make them more money, and if it's gambling, so be it. I'm an adult. I like gambling. You just be responsible. They got him out of here.
They shut him down.
The video game companies.
Amazon.
Okay.
But wait, wouldn't they want this? I'm really confused.
Yeah, they do.
Like, maybe it's like the anti-video game alliance.
Moms against video
games.
All
right. Let's. I guess we're moving on. British man, go bye. All right, let's go to Counterpoints.
Yeah, so he was too enthusiastic. Spoon/SDM was too enthusiastic about things that I agree with. So I think if it's cosmetics only, that's perfectly fine. Cosmetics only is perfectly fine. It doesn't destroy the game. I'm okay with that. And adults can spend money in stupid fucking ways all they want. The problem is with targeting teenagers, and the problem is with how much money you can spend without checks. I think there should be some level of like limits for how much money you can spend in a week or a month or something. That way you can basically gate people who have like addictive personalities. And then same thing with, basically playability. Some of the things that have actually turned me off from franchises have been RNG and loot box theory, where I can't pursue specific items based off of gameplay and skill. So I think the consumers really need to vote with their participation. And if you feel like you're being like a company in particular, I think it's EA or Activision or like the main motherfuckers that are, predatory as a motherfucker. We need to start voting with our dollars. I know that's hard to do when they publish so many titles that we all love. But dude, fuck Call of Duty. It's been the same game for fucking 10 years. So yeah, so fuck these motherfuckers, fuck them and their stupid ass, and it should be mildly regulated, but adults should be able to be stupid. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Spoon, did you finish your point previously?
Yep.
Okay, good. I was wondering, like, what sort of twisted, corrupted mind would defend loot boxes? Well, I found
gambling. Okay?
Now we
I'm
know.
an adult man, and I like gambling. Okay, I mean, gambling is great fun.
But you're not even gambling for something cool.
This is
I don't
why,
care, man. It's just gambling. It's just fun.
This is why the British are always the bad guys within movies.
I don't even buy loot boxes, man. Am I here getting like a fucking 15 kill streak in my fucking base skin, right? And you're there getting fucking whipped. You're like 0 and 8 with your fucking like primo skin. Like, how embarrassing for you? How fucking embarrassing.
Top dolphin. Be better.
Be better. Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't hate loot boxes that much. But maybe it's because there's very few games in which I've like paid for them. Personally, I think that like I think there's a lot of problems with loot boxes being targeted towards kids and with mobile games and stuff like that. The mobile games, the amount of money they make off of loot boxes is like disgusting. And I really don't like the way like as a gamer, I hate using that word, but I'm gonna use it for this argument. As someone who plays video games, I hate the way the games are going, where like there's a lot of stuff that's pay to win, and there's a lot of stuff that like is locked behind paywalls. At the same time, if I realize that like we've come into an era where there's so much like free content out there as well, and a lot of that has been provided off the back of loot boxes. Games are getting supported. Like right now we demand so much from game devs. We demand games to be supported like indefinitely almost. We demand games to get like constant updates. We demand all of these things from video games, and then I think I can't remember if this is correct, but I feel like people are like don't want to pay $60 for games anymore sometimes. Like, and that's anecdotal. I don't have any evidence to back it up, but it seems the case. A lot of my friends, like, unless you're getting like a like insanely like polished like super awesome new title, like people really don't want to pay $60 for games. Everyone's playing the free League of Legends and the free Fortnite and that stuff. And so they have to make money to support these games somehow. And so as long as we like make sure that they're not like being predatory with loot boxes and targeting children, and people and I don't like when people they use like loot boxes for what do they call it? to impact gameplay, and because I think pay to win is stupid. But if it's just for cosmetic stuff and stuff like that, I think they can be integrated in a way that doesn't overwhelm games, can make people who want to buy them willing to, and allow games to be funded in a way they like we want them to.
Okie doke. Let's go to Ty.
All right, I gotta start with a question here. When did SDM become a fucking lib? When did this project happen? You misinformed me on something. Okay. Real talk though. I think I'm not a big fan of gambling on any kind of moral level, but loot boxes really severely piss me off. And yeah, sure, I can blame the people who buy them all the damn day long, but I always tend to go to the source of power when it comes to this kind of shit. If you have power, if you have a if you have power, you have a responsibility to use that power. If you know that it's just a cheap money grab, fuck you. I'm not going to back you. I'm not going to side with you. There's a way to do this right. I'm going to support the company that I like most, Paradox Interactive. Yeah, people bitch about...
Oh my God, Stellaris is the worst game!
Anyway, look, you know what? I know people bitch. They're like, oh, what, $10 for this expansion pack, $5 for this unit pack, all that shit. That's the way to do it. You open it up, or you come up front, you say, hey, look, this is what I'm offering. This is how much I'm selling it for. You take it or you fucking leave it. This loot box shit, it's abusive to fucking straight up, top to bottom. You're saying, hey, look, you've got a chance to win this. I'll even tell you what the chances are. But you're openly fucking people for money, and you know it. I'm not on board with this shit. I think it's completely unethical. And while, free market economics, I'll totally support, I will fully acknowledge that this is some fucking shit. And I'll end with that.
Ty, I have to rely on conservatives for the truth here. The left has failed once again. It's just facts. All right. Vote wise, let's see if we can break that streak.
I think that, like, I mean, if you're going to allow the like gamification of like all these different parts of our society, you might as well allow this too. Like, I mean, it's absolutely stupid to draw some kind of delineation between like when kids are exposed to gambling, like, you know, as loot boxes versus like when we're getting them to buy bits and donate them to the streamers on this site, or like everything else. Like we have an ADHD society, like that is like constantly needs constant stimulation and constant flashy shit. Like loot boxes, I think, fit directly into that narrative, and it's a way to monetize like another part of our culture that makes our economy more efficient. It's better for everybody. So fucking roll the dice, let them have them.
This is the best. This is the best that the left has to offer. This is the best.
I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, what I was gonna say is like back in the 1800s, right? We almost devastated the country of China by importing a bunch of opium, right? And they get the entire country just sit around 8 hours a day, sit on their asses doing nothing. And like now we pay $500 for the privilege. Like it's like that's what capitalism has. Like literally just increased the.
So we deserve that now. What the fuck?
All right.
Yeah. I mean, literally, that's how I feel.
Okay.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, oh boy, this is gonna be a fight. Doobie.
So I'm going to take a personal story really quick. So about a year and a half ago, my friend group got into Elder Scrolls Online, and we played from Friday to like Tuesday. And in that time, I spent about $800 on loot boxes in the game. And then we stopped playing on Tuesday, and I uninstalled the game and never went back. When I got Overwatch, first thing I did when I bought the game, spent like $200 on loot boxes immediately, right? Fucking battle. What is it? Battlefront 2. First thing I did, oh cool, they have loot boxes, cool skins. I spent a few $100s on loot boxes immediately. And despite all that, I love loot boxes. I think they're fucking great. It's a lot of fun. Introduces I think it's like an additional mini game within the game, right? It's like slots. It's really cool. Secondly, I also like pay to win shit. People when you're talking about like shitting on pay to win shit, these days have a lot more free time. There was a time not so long ago where I didn't have a whole lot of time to play video games, and I was grinding really hard when I started my business, right? And grinding really, really hard when I started my business. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to play these video games. And when I got some, I'd get online and oh shit, all these people have cool shit. I have this basic shit. I don't have the time to grind for the cool shit. So cool. Now there's a way for me to buy it. I just buy the shit. And now I have it too. Fuck them. Fuck these kids getting off from school, spending 10 hours playing the video game after they not doing their fucking homework. Right now I can't have the cool shit too. I think if there's an issue, right? It's with the parents, right? If these kids are getting addicted to loot boxes, where are they getting the fucking money from? Unless they're going out and getting jobs, right, and working their ass out to pay for those loot boxes, and hey, fuck it, let them get the loot boxes, right?
Yeah.
But if they're stealing mommy's credit card to pay for loot boxes, that sounds like a parenting issue. Why is it my problem? Why should I be penalized for it? Why should my game suffer for it? Fuck that.
Okay. All right. We'll play. Bam.
I'm still whipping Doobie's
Bam,
ass. All right,
you
Doobie's
are-
paying to win. I'm still beating him.
I think Doobie's scripted. I don't know if he actually loses.
Bam.
You can't buy skill, Doobie. You can't buy skill.
You are Bam. You're my last hope here, right?
Oh my
Right.
god.
Wait, no, I didn't go
Doobie,
yet. Remember, I was gonna go.
Oh boy.
Last.
All right. Bam. Go ahead.
All right. I think there's like a level of distinction to be made. Like I don't. Well, first of all, personally, I'm a Clash of Clans player mobily, and crap. There's some of the game. Oh yeah, I used to have like a RuneScape membership. I currently have one because my friend gave me one. So like I have like some relation to this like pay to play sort of style. I think that like as long as there's I don't have an issue with people being able to pay for things like with loot boxes inherently. Only if there's some other option outside of that to like be able to buy the item like directly or win the item in game. Like I feel like at that point, then people just want the rush of gambling at the risk of like making it big. Like the loot box might be $2 and you have like a 1% chance of getting the really cool gun, or you could pay $20 and like buy the gun directly. Like I think that's an important distinction to make, that you shouldn't only be able to get the gun through the loot box where you have to buy like 100 of them. But there's that, and I also believe that
like unironically kind of with Doobie, like I think it is okay for people to have to be able to play to win. Like like games are entertainment. Like I don't think it's something we should hold. I mean, it's also a business now, but I don't think we should hold up like kids gaming as like some type of meritocracy. Like if you want to have this gun, you have to game for 37 days straight without using the bathroom. Like, if somebody gets their allowance and they want to buy the cool gun, let them buy the cool gun. At the end of the day, like I legitimately don't care. But maybe that's because I'm a fake gamer. And the last thing, there was something else I wanted to say. Last point. I don't know. It'll come out in the opening. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. I think that there should be, if your account is attached to a minor, I do think it would be useful to like set limits on it, because like gambling is like a weird thing to get involved in with children. Like you could set like $20 limits a month or something that an account linked to a child could do. But I think adults, if we allow adults to gamble, like I think we can also allow people to continue to gamble.
Okay. Well, another disappointment. But it's funny you mentioned Clash of Clans. I used to be really big in Clash with my friends that I worked at a previous job with. And I literally found out, like, while we were doing this, doing a Reverie, that my one friend is ranked 7th in the world. He's like, awesome. Yeah, he's like a pro player. He's got like a sponsorship and shit. Like it's like
he definitely pays for it.
Yeah,
he definitely pays for it.
But don't worry. I got something for you too, Bam. All right, go ahead, man.
So I'm going to give you the perspective of a consumer, a whale, if you will, someone who has started off real small and then spent so much that it dwarfs the outrageous numbers that Doobie provided earlier. Like, I know for a fact I probably have gotten more Overwatch boxes than he has on things. So it started a long time ago. I was playing this really addictive web game. I'm going to link it so everybody else can get addicted to my crack. It was called The Last Nights, and time was a variable in this game, right? And so they gave you this option to get this nobility title in the game that would like basically give you 12 30-minute increments of free time that you can use to build up your army, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like this monthly charge. And me and my friend were like really into this game. We got it. And it became a part of playing a game. If you're going to play a game seriously, you need to pay for your subscription or whatever. And then I got into World of Warcraft, and the subscription thing, kept me going. I started becoming more and more of a whale, right? And then I was trying to justify the cost I was spending on games to one of my friends who also played WoW. And he was like, look, if it makes you happy, go ahead and spend the money. I spend $1,000 a month on cars, and I'm very, very happy. If spending this much money on stupid bullshit makes you happy, do it. And I took that advice to heart. And it was a terrible, terrible piece of advice, because I ended up spending way more money on stupid shit than I could have ever expected myself to do it. I added it up one day and then had enough, right? So, like, on the one hand, I understand spending money on things that you appreciate and love, but like, you don't actually consider how much you're spending at any one given point in time until like, a year later, when you've spent so much that you kind of regret it because you're not playing the games anymore. Like Doobie was talking about not playing whatever Battlefront or whatever. Like, I mean, I guess I still play Overwatch, but like most of that money just was squandered and wasted. I didn't get anything out of it. So generally speaking, I am resentful of the concept because of like my personal experience. And I think there are ways that this needs to be like monitored and whatnot. But on the other hand, if you have the budget, if you can afford to do this, and it actually does make you truly happy, then I can't really fault the person for actually spending the money if they are financially solvent enough to actually spend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to add on.
Please.
I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, so I just need to add on an addendum to my thing. So I started playing New World recently. Amazon's new like MMO. Great game, actually. I think it's a lot of fun. The thing that pissed me off, there's no way for me to pay to increase my XP gain. What the fuck? Like, let me pay to level up faster. So I think this like anti-loot box, anti-pay to win shit, anti-like microtransaction shit is like actually cancer. Mad lad. So you said, oh, you what do you give these loot boxes? You bought the shit.
I got all the skins. Every time there's a holiday, I'd be like, oh, I better get all 50 of those loot boxes.
Better than that, you got the experience, right? This is why people go out, pay $200 for a fancy ass
Dude, the experience of opening up those loot boxes actually sucks, though.
Listen. You got $200. They pay $200 for a fancy ass dinner and a $50 haircut, whatever the fuck it is, right? Because they want the experience, right? You can't take shit with it. You could be just as
No, I just wanted to. All right, to be fair,
eat rice and chicken like I do most of the time, right? But you wanted the loot box, you wanted the experience, you had the fun, and now you have the memory. It's wonderful.
No, the memory.
I don't know why you're.
I mean, you still have the items from the game.
I don't like opening loot boxes. That's the funny part. Like, I just want that one skin, right? So, like, if I could push the enter button and just have all 50 of them open and be like, oh, hey, look, I got my skin. Great, cool. That would be way preferable to like opening up my Hearthstone decks. And that's the other thing. Like, Hearthstone, for example, is like a play-to-win game. You have to buy packs and hopefully get the cards you need to build. Like, the new meta deck.
Game, like what?
Like that part.
It's like
a little bit better, but not really.
It's like spending an hour beating a game over and over again, right? So that you can, you get a certain card, you get a certain costume at the end of the fucking game.
I feel nothing when I open a loot box.
Never mind the fact that
you're dead inside, right? I love opening loot boxes.
Yeah. Listen, our entire existence is pay to win. You know what I mean? Like life is pay to win. So I might as well fucking play a game.
Okay.
Right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
is anybody that's anti-loot box? Like, are you also anti-gambling in general? Because I don't know how you hold these positions.
It's Ty and Connor and me against the world, right?
I mean,
once
it's true.
Again, once again,
I gotta ruin this because I think you guys just convinced me that like hold on, no, hold on. I haven't betrayed you at all. I think you've convinced me to legalize drugs because you guys need better fucking habits. Like if you're gonna be addicted to something, at least be addicted to like heroin and make good music,
you losers.
Or be be addicted to like cocaine and like beat people up at the bar. Because like this whole like I'm spending cocaine and heroin money on digital flashing fucking screens. It's fucking embarrassing for us as a civilization. Like,
it is.
Dude, revolt.
You're
rise,
shaming me so hard right now.
I know it's okay.
Hold on.
So revolt rise. Actually, he said the most like I've never been so fucking blackpilled in my entire life. He literally said that we like forced China to accept heroin, so we deserve it. Like on some level, I know he's karmically correct. And this entire conversation where I've sat here for the past 10 minutes listening to how you guys spent so much fucking money on goddamn loot boxes, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is better if the fucking Chinese win. Like maybe we had time in the sun.
They spend just as much, if not more, money than we do on loot boxes.
Okay,
so.
wait. Well, okay,
then we deserve a meteor. We deserve a fucking rock.
Yeah, they only game 3 hours a day now. Okay, they only game 3 hours a day, and Catboy's outlawed. So there you go. You want to fix the degeneracy of society? Get rid of the video games.
Wait, hold on. So Connor, you say this shit, right?
Sentiment.
But if we were to open up my ESO account right now, right? I played the game for like 4 days or some shit. We go to my character. I have the coolest fucking skin. I have a horse that crawls out of a puddle of blood on the floor. The fancy ass house with all kinds of cool furniture in it. I have cool shit in that game, right? So if I ever do want to get back into it, it's also there. I bought something that I'm keeping, right? And I just don't want to use it right now. I'm sure you got shit in your garage or in your closet that you bought and you don't want to use right now. So it's just kind of stashed away somewhere and you kind of forget about it for a while. That's how it is for me. If I were to pull up Assassin's Creed Odyssey and pull up my character there, it looks like a fucking demigod, right? He's literally on fire, like as I'm playing in the game. I don't even like that fucking game anymore. I played it for like 20 hours or some shit over like a month, and it was just boring as fuck. So I got rid of it. Right. So, but if I wanted to get back to it someday, this shit's so there. I'm not losing anything. Right. Yeah. I don't really understand why you would say this is different than buying a fancy dinner or buying I don't know. But you're fucking Barbies.
It's an investment in your entertainment.
Would you say the same thing about FIFA? Like FIFA, 2015, right? Would you say the same thing about that?
Yeah,
that's a little different because I don't play sports games. They're boring as fuck.
Boring as fuck. I agree, but yeah.
But I'm sure those people, it's the same thing. But Connor, you sit there most of the time when I'm on stream, painting your little Barbies, right? Eventually, they end up stashed away somewhere, and you forget they exist, and you move on to a new Barbie.
No, that's wrong.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
I'm obsessed with my Barbies.
What are you Wait, what are you painting?
Okay, the male version of
Barbies.
Barbies.
You judge me for buying loot boxes when you buy Warhammer
Literally painting
figurines and paint
Barbies
them.
24/7.
Is that
I
what
do.
just happened?
I
What
do.
the fuck? No,
Dude,
I can't do that.
I absolutely do.
This
Go
man
to
probably has
Warhammer.
a closet full of Barbies just stacked up in there. He never fucking touches.
And
I
none of
don't
them
know.
have any heads. Like, where the heads go?
what does
Connor?
that? Hold on. What does that say about your habit that a person who engages in Warhammer 40,000 is judging you?
I mean, what does it say?
That's
As a
true.
loot box
That is
the
buyer
equivalent
is
of getting
judging
beaten by someone in normal
me.
skin.
This is
Okay,
like
this is the equivalent
this
of getting
is
beaten by someone in
small
base
niche
skin.
corner of
Like, this is ridiculous because, like, the fact of the matter is, you're doing the
not wet.
exact same shit, except it's physical at least. Instead of
Okay,
digital.
hold on. Can I
The thing is, I
explain
think
this
they're
really quick?
bad, but I like
Yeah.
legit. Before we get down to that, I just really want to know, like, what is like for the people who are against it. Like, 'cause I participate, and I think that they're bad, but like. How do you simultaneously hold a position on drugs, unironically, or on gambling in general, unironically? Like, they're like, do you think that just loot boxes are bad, or do you think that like we should also keep drugs illegal and keep like gambling in general should be illegal?
I'm mean in general. I actually do think these things should be controlled. I think it is good that gambling is limited to adults from a legal perspective. I do think that it's good that it's pretty heavily regulated. I do think it's good that a lot of these things have been pushed out of our public spaces. So I'm perfectly okay with that. When it comes to drugs, I'm for decriminalization, not legalization. I do think these things can like hyper negatively impact people's lives. And like as much as I'm memeing, really my main contention is like we all have one life to live, right? And we should all spend it the way that we feel is most appropriate. But at the same time, I feel like some of these things can be psychologically manipulative. And I bring up Destiny in particular. I love that game. I love that game so much. I think the mechanics are good. I think the armor is great. I think the lore is great, like all that kind of stuff. But then I found myself doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And the truth is like I've already traveled a lot. I've had a lot of like really good relationships and a lot of terrible relationships. I don't want young people to like I want them to do what they want to do, but I also want them to do more than basically be digital gamblers until they die. And I think that like weak-willed and easily psychologically manipulated people can allow that to happen to them. And then they wasted a lot of time and a lot of money in ways that, unfortunately, you can't get that time back.
If they enjoy it, then is it a waste?
But that's true of video games in general.
And like this is like,
True.
and the thing is like with that, like so I don't know what Destiny was like. I know what World of Warcraft was like, and there's a lot of the same thing, right? Like week by week chores. But the thing is, you're doing those chores with friends, your guildmates, or whatever else. You're going to try to conquer those chores in new ways, right? So there's like social stuff happening. You get the cool skins, so you can show off to your guildies, like, hey, look at these cool axes with little heart beating bits and blood flying everywhere. Isn't this cool? Like that's the idea.
Well, and I'm a lot less hostile when there's a social component. And I'm not saying like everybody needs to be social or whatever. Like there's people who enjoy just video games by themselves, right? But I am saying like I think that if you look back at the things that were pleasurable about video games for a long time, it was spending time with other people pushing towards a similar goal. And kind of what's
we used to call that a society.
Winning.
Yeah, and so what kind of sucks about this is I feel like digital society is being fleeced by psychologically manipulative assholes. And while I do sympathize with Doobie's perspective that I don't have unlimited time, so why can't I use money for time? I think that's fine. But again, I think it should be more like cosmetics oriented than like pay to win oriented, because because that means that poor kids have to fucking gain 30,000 hours in order to keep up with you.
Or they go get a fucking job and pay the money that I did and catch up. Right? Like
so your response to shitty
you start saying you don't want to gatekeep winning in games from poor kids.
So like, no, hold on.
Right?
So I actually want to give a very specific example here. So like so the game that I was playing, like The Last Knights, it was like this medieval RTS game where you built up an army, right? And then you would train that army, make it stronger, and then you would like kind of play like this Risk style board game where you try to conquer other countries and stuff, right? So you didn't want to disappoint your country, by making your army weak. So like everybody who was in a country would be encouraged to do their regular training. So like every 2 hours you had to log in when your unit's healed and train, right? But like some of us were professionals, some of us had jobs, we had other things to do. So like the pay to win model actually worked fantastically for this game because we could do those things, come back, use a healing turn to get an extra training run in, use another healing turn to get an extra training run in, and like help participate in our country and help that country win, right? So like in a sense, it was actually kind of facilitating gameplay and making this style of game possible in the first place. I think that's like actually kind of valuable.
Let's go to Tiberius. Let's go to Tiberius and then Spoon and Adam. I'm gonna unleash the beast soon, so count down to that.
I want to reply to Bam and also piggyback off of Connor. I'm largely against loot boxes and gambling, and to put this in perspective here, right? I don't have a problem with gambling just at a gate, but the problem here is that largely shut up for a minute. Largely what the problem here is for me is that this shit's incredibly addictive. And it's the same kind of principle for me as drugs, or as hard narcotics and drugs, as it is for gambling, is that you are preying upon people who have addictive tendencies to the point where you're just making money hand over fist of them, and you're putting them in a negative, technically it's a positive feedback loop, into a negative direction where you crash their lives. I find this shit openly abusive. It's just blatantly fucking wrong, and I don't want to support it in any way. Now, does it mean I'm going to just get rid of all gambling? No, but I think it needs to be controlled. I think it needs to be regulated. I think it has to have an eye on it to make sure that you're not categorically fucking over. I don't know exactly how you do that. That's not really my expertise, but I hope you can understand, like, from a moral and ethical level, at least where I'm coming.
I agree. I share that basically the same position.
Yeah. I gotta take this dog out real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he's making demands.
Like, we should have like limitations on it based on the fact that like some people go overboard with it. Like that seems like that's their issue, right? People can get overboard on fucking everything, right?
Are you a fucking libertarian?
Yeah,
what the fuck is this shit?
I mean,
there's a very specific thing that I think applies to.
I'm not done yet. Not even
like,
close. Not even close, right? Like, what we're gonna do? Put like, Connor, I'm afraid you're spending too much money on Warhammer. We're gonna have to put some hard regulations on how much Warhammer you can buy per month. How much money you can spend on loot boxes.
He's considering it though. He's thinking to himself like, maybe I need this.
Can I?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying.
Like, how would you even like enforce this to begin with? Like, how do you go like, well, we're looking at this bank account. They seem to be spending a lot of money on loot boxes.
I want to hit this real quick, and that is SDM. Here's my real issue with it. I like Connor is like, I get it. We can make fun of Connor with spending all this money on Warhammer figurines. I've got them too. But here's the real thing. What really bothers me about loot boxes and gambling in particular versus what is a sold product such as Warhammer is that Warhammer says, hey, look, this is what I'm selling you. 10 figurines for like $50. You can say it's all bullshit and it's never worth that, but at least you know up front what you're fucking getting. The problem I have with loot boxes and most gambling is you have no idea. You're playing chance. And it's fun, don't get me wrong. I get the experience part that Doobie is arguing. But on the other side of that is that it's openly abusive because if we're talking about slot machines, if we're talking about loot boxes, you're talking about shit that has a 1 in 100 or a 1 in 1,000 or a 1 in 10,000 chance that you're going to get it. That's so fucked, my man.
You know you have these odds. You know you're engaging in this game of chance, and you do it anyway. You do it willingly as motivation.
Hold on.
Right? Hold on. I didn't even get to finish my first point. Right? Like again, how would you even fucking enforce this? How do you look at somebody's credit card details and say, "Oh, you're spending too much on loot boxes"? Right? Actually, right in your household, we don't know. We don't know if
motherfucker. No, I'm not responding to that. You can tell me.
Shut up. Go.
But like, we don't know if it was you or your child spending this money on your credit account. Like, again, this seems like an issue that you just have to sort out, like, individually as per person, right? If you can't afford to spend this money on fucking loot boxes, don't, right? I'm afraid you just have to be a fucking, like, responsible adult in this situation, right? And if your child is spending this money on loot boxes and they don't have the money to spend on this loot box, they're spending your money to spend on these loot boxes, you need to fucking raise your child better. Like, fucking Jesus Christ, is that simple? You can say it's like exploitative, right? But you are willingly engaging in this. You don't have to engage in this in any like level. Okay, you don't have to buy the loot boxes. If paying to win is part of the game, you don't have to win. Okay, it's a video game.
I want to fight. I want to fight something bad. So Ty, finish up. And then we're gonna go to Adam. And then I'm gonna go out and jump in.
Yeah, appreciate that. So look, here's the point where I'm at, and like I get where you're coming from. I do. And I don't think that you're entirely wrong here. My thing is, at least from the moral axiom that I'm coming from, is that, you know what? The difference between the person who's the purchaser versus the seller is that the seller has an incredible amount of power here in that transaction because they're dictating the terms. And I'm going to hold more responsibility on the seller than I am the person. Now, the other side of that is that, for me personally, is that, God damn it, I lost my train of thought. I was going to go down the line of, fuck it, I forgot. Sorry. Goddamn dog was barking at me again.
I would jump. Okay, I would say like I think.
No, Dolphin, go.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that there's something that it needs to be said for that. Like we've determined as a society that that like things like gambling, right? While they can be a really fun experience, it can be really awesome for people who enjoy them. I think they're stupid. Are like something that kids shouldn't have access to. And I think loot boxes are probably in the same boat. Whether or not they're for cosmetics or they're for like in-game impact, that's for that's not a that's not like a decision that should be left to our government, right? Like support the game. If you don't like them to impact games, then support the games that don't do that. And if you do like them to impact gameplay, then support those games like Doobie would. But when it comes to like the actual harm that these things like have, it's probably that like when one is they're engineered the same way that like casino games are engineered to create like to be like addicting, right? And especially when you have so much control over it because there's screens and stuff. It's like there's a word for this. But it's like psychologically addicting, and targeting that sort of thing to kids the same way like we don't let people do it with gambling. We probably shouldn't let them do it with loot boxes. And there's probably a million ways that we could like regulate how these things are like advertised to kids, how these things we could do age checks for games and stuff like that. There's a lot of things we could do.
There's
And
no
even
way of enforcing it. That's insane.
Hold on. You can say that age checks aren't like super effective,
Yeah,
right?
do, like,
But
putting your
having a thing
passport,
that,
driving license to buy a loot box.
Hold on,
ridiculous.
hold on. Wait. You can say hold on, because right now we do the same fucking shit with pornography. We make you click past the little thing.
Yeah, and they click past it.
And for that little, completely minor amount of effort, some amount of kids to go to the porn site, okay? Right? Like maybe it's a very small amount, but like there's lots of different things we can do to dissuade kids from spending money on
Okay,
loot
can we?
boxes.
Let's actually
At
move
least
on.
the stupid kids.
Really
boy.
addicting, right?
Yeah, so
All right.
and now my turn. All right, here we go.
I have one thing.
I don't care. So here we go. All right, so it all adds up. Doobie's a filthy fucking degenerate. Now we know. All right. It's not so much the casino. It's loot boxes. Good to know. Good to know. I'll use this against him later on. All right. Like loot boxes. One, you're saying that loot boxes are just a kid thing, right? But they're not. But even if they are, right? Should a parent who buys a game for a child expect, like, I mean, you know, we look at the like the rating, right? Like a parent who actually gives a shit about the rating and looks at it, right? Okay, they do the due diligence, look at the rating, hand their kid this game for Christmas presents, and then they don't know that it has a casino mechanic inside where it can drain their fucking bank accounts, right? Is that parent a bad parent for like not understanding this? No, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous bar. No. That's a ridiculous bar you're setting for parents. It's like what? Like and consider this.
Be like, teaching your child to be fiscally responsible is kind of important.
Oh boy. Oh yeah. You're garbage. You're garbage. No, I'm not even close. I'm not even close to done.
Child, do not gamble all your money away.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Is that like too much to ask?
Oh my god, I'm going to perform a blitz on your hometown again. All right, look. The problem, okay? The problem is not the parent in this case. And let's not forget, and this part's very important. Let's not fucking forget that there's a lot of games, that promise there will be no loot boxes. It's not going to happen, right? It releases that way. And then later on, there's an update where they add loot boxes. That's the thing they do. So again, how do you blame a parent, right? Who might have honestly, okay, all right. Not only did that parent look at the rating system, understood it, and gave a shit about it, right? But literally looked up the reviews, right? And looked at it and like,
Prime, it's called.
No, shut up. Thanks, great. Like,
This is
like
so obvious.
if like, what kind of standard are you setting? What kind of? Oh
It's
my
the
god!
future.
I feel like
this is so obvious,
burns me
right? Like, if
hot
it's
fire.
your money.
This burns me like hot fire because it got me agreeing with Connor, right? It's like, oh man, protect the parents, right? No, fuck this shit. I hate it. I hate it.
No.
I hate it.
No,
I
this
was
is
like,
so
no.
The future
No,
is
jump
loot
down to me.
boxes.
Shut up. I'm not done. Okay, great. Like, that's a ridiculous standard for any consumer item. That's literally ridiculous for any consumer item, right? Like, the fuck? Like,
Bro.
you're asking. It's like, hey, here's a teddy bear for your kid, but hold on, did you send it to a lab for chemical analysis, right? Oh, did you not know that there's a fucking asbestos in the stuffing,
the
right?
same.
Well, who could have known, right? Well, you didn't do the research. No, I mean, the information was out there,
Yo,
but you didn't do the research.
everybody
Okay,
here-
moving on, shut up. Great, pay to win, right? That's not exactly the same as loot boxes. There's two different things, right? Pay to win is another fucking problem. Here's the problem with pay to win. You guys are acting like when you were talking about that grinding, that like playing Doobie not wanting to put 30 hours into a game to achieve some sort of level, right? But you know that's not like a law of the universe that it takes you 30, 100 hours to like get to these levels, right? Like, there are designers, right? Understand this. I mean, just try to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. There are software designers who make decisions about what the game does and how it functions, right? Crazy, right? I know, right?
We should make
Crazy.
games worse.
They make the actual decision to put that grinding in there, right? Why is the grinding in there? To force people, idiots like Doobie, to pay. He's a fucking whale, is what he is, right? They're looking for chumps just like Doobie, who are going to pay for that privilege. The grinding is a dual mechanic with the loot boxes. They work hand in hand. They could just not have the grinding. They could just have like a reasonable progression rate, and then no one would do that, right? Or very few people would use a loot box, right? But they do it so that chumps, again, like Doobie, will end up using it. So
Yes.
why are you for pay to win, right? Like, you are for your own financial doom here. Do you remember when games didn't have that? And you could just advance to the level that you needed, right? Like, you could just level up in a reasonable amount of time, right? Because there was no mechanic to exploit people, again, like Doobie, who would make these mistakes. And my final point, then I'll let it go to all of you guys, right? Yeah, it's not just a kid thing, right? So this targets people who are neurodivergent, who don't understand maybe the consequences of their actions, right? Or who, like, maybe because you brought up Clash of Clans, Black American made. You brought up Clash of Clans, and there's a lot of mobile games that do the same fucking thing, right? It's a team game in which like, your performance affects like the outcome of a team. And so, like, if you have a higher level base, right, higher level troops, right, then you can perform better. Right? But what if, hey, you don't have that? You haven't grinded enough, right? You haven't done that. Well, some people feel an intense sense of guilt of letting down the team, right? Now, you should not care what this random motherfuckers on the internet. I know most of you guys don't give a shit about random motherfuckers. Well, maybe. People on the internet, I think, right? Most of you guys might be able to, push that pressure aside, but a lot of people cannot. And because of that, they'll spend, right? Like, they've actually looked at to see who these whales are that are spending this amount of cash, and it's lonely individuals who are stuck at home. How many people during the pandemic became, again, chumps like Doobie and started spending because they were just lonely and they didn't want to let their team down? This is a thing that happens. So, right. Like, it's a problem on so many different levels. So I'll leave it there. Go ahead.
Are we anti-grind?
Wait, can I respond?
All right, I've been waiting a long fucking time.
Nobody cares what
We've
you
all
think
been
about it.
waiting.
No, this is a big deal.
Okay,
It's important.
okay.
Fuck, no, fuck you.
Oh,
I will
God.
have you know.
Wait, before anybody goes, Prime. All right, so I understand all the things you said. What about like casinos? How do you feel about casinos? That's all I want to
No,
know.
shut up. Who
No,
cares?
Bitcoin's the analogy. How do you feel about
Please.
Bitcoin?
I like to. I was called a chump for my my spending habits, and I'd like to respond if that's okay.
First of all, whatever you spend on what you're gonna say, I double it on OnlyFans. So there we go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, spend money on
Look,
boobies, not games,
look,
guys.
look. Here's the thing. So your first thing is the responsibility of the parent to understand what they're purchasing for their child, and then to understand that hey, this game might become something else in 2 years, and they might add loot boxes
Not
to
even
keep the
2
game
years.
running. Right? Hold on.
Not 2 years.
Well, 6 months, a month,
Yeah.
whatever it is. They should keep track of what the fuck their kids are doing. I think it absolutely is a parent's responsibility to understand what they're purchasing for their child. Secondly, again, given that these are children we're talking about, where are they getting all this fucking money to buy loot boxes or whatever else they're buying in the game?
Their parents' credit cards are connected to their account.
That sounds like a parenting issue. Stop. That is a parenting issue. If you haven't taught your kid that it's bad to steal from you, then hey, you got a fucking problem.
don't know
I
how
guess.
to
Stop it.
No. My kid will grab a
Oh my
Kindle and just fucking buy books just to do it.
Then
Yes.
your
Just
kid is
buy,
stupid,
buy.
and he shouldn't be allowed
No,
to. He shouldn't be allowed
fuck
near your
you,
Kindle.
Goofy. No, my
Don't
point is-
let your
no,
kid near
my
your
point
Kindle.
is, she
Don't let your
likes-
kid near your
she
Kindle.
likes-
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, no
Simple.
kidding. Exactly. That's the point. I have to restrict my kid's access to the Kindle. Otherwise, she's going to buy a fuck ton of books. So yeah, on some level, parents
Why don't you
are
just make
there.
it require a password every time you buy a book?
Exactly.
And
Yeah, why don't
Or
you just
give
do
it a
that?
password?
Social engineer the
I
credit card
have
numbers
a
from your
very
neighbors.
old Kindle. It doesn't have that option. It's just literally.
I'm pretty
just push
sure
a
it
fucking
has that
button.
option.
My Kindle's a fucking decade old. Fuck off. All
Even
right.
if
Look,
it's
I have an
old,
old
it
Kindle.
probably has
No,
software.
fuck you. It doesn't have it. I looked. All right.
Okay.
And I'm not a boomer. Fuck
Okay,
off.
you're.
Are you?
Anyway,
you literally play trash.
Anyway,
How old are you,
I've
man,
been
then?
silenced on this panel talking about how important loot boxes are, and now I'm going to have my share of the stage. My point here is that A, it's parents' responsibility. B, this whole neurodivergent thing. Oh, they're not going to be able to handle themselves. We're not going to cradle neurodivergent people and say, oh, yes, they are going to be unable to control whether they buy loot boxes or not. That's bullshit. Humans overall are going to buy loot boxes one way or the other. The one thing I would say to limit the loot box issue that we have is that companies should probably increase the percent chance of getting that shiny new piece of whatever. That's the actual problem.
Nah,
The
fuck
fact that
that.
the drop rate is 0.5% instead of 33% is the actual problem. None of this other bullshit matters, okay?
Wait,
Increase the
25%
drop
is
rate
high
and you're
as fuck.
fine.
What do you mean?
No, increase the drop rate so you'd only have to buy 1 or 2 loot boxes instead of, some kid swiping their mom's credit card to get 50 loot boxes for their birthday, okay? That's all I'm saying. Like, increase the drop rate,
Yeah,
everything's
again-
good. Make it a little bit more consistent, everything is good. That's
I
No,
feel
my
like that
again,
position.
defeats the purpose. I feel like
If
that
you,
defeats
if
the
you
purpose
haven't,
of the
if
loot
you haven't
boxes.
tied, if you haven't
No,
tied,
because the
if you
purpose of
haven't-
the
oh,
loot
God.
box, the purpose of the loot box isn't just for purchase. You
I
also earn the loot box by playing the game. You
I don't just
do.
want the shiny gun. I
Look.
want the shiny gun to be exclusive when I have it. Like that's the
True.
point.
All
Like,
right, well then
Exactly,
do
yeah.
the
That's
task
a
that gives it
factor.
to you.
but I'm
Anyway,
saying, like, if
wait,
you're
wait.
saying 2 out
Okay,
of 3
can I-
people have it,
No,
Keep
well, fine.
Okay,
Like,
you
you
can-
can also
no,
make
shut
it.
up. No, stop. Okay, real quick.
All right, fine,
So,
fine.
so again, I really need to hit on this point. If your kid is taking your credit card or your credit card is linked to their account, right, and they're just spending money on loot boxes, and first off, they're doing that, so you haven't taught them not to do that. You haven't taught them not to steal from you. You haven't taught them that's a bad thing. Secondly, maybe you did teach them, and your kid's just a piece of shit, right? That's fine. Maybe take the game away from them entirely. Thirdly, check your fucking credit card statements. Make sure there's nothing like that happening. When you catch it, it's your responsibility to deal with your fucking kid. It's your kid. If your kid's fucking up, fix it. Right? Don't take your bad parenting habits and punish me for them. Right? When I've secured a pretty comfortable lifestyle for myself. If I want to buy loot boxes, if I want to buy shiny shit, right, I'm gonna fucking do it, right? Why should I be
Sure.
punished because you can't keep your kid away from your credit card?
Why not earn?
Yeah,
it?
and I mean, like,
why not
this also
earn,
ties
the
into
why
worst-
not earn that
the
loot
worst
in
argument.
game? Remember how when we used to do that? We just earned that shit. All that shit you're talking about, you would just
But what
earn.
you're talking about is like a
playing the
preference in the
fucking
way that
game.
games work, and then you should just like not support the companies that put loot boxes in games.
Okay.
right?
all right.
Yo, no, 100%.
Okay.
Doobie just made the case for regulating loot boxes, which is it will fuck over Doobie. Everybody
What the fuck?
who is in this
Yeah.
channel
Let's go.
support regulating loot boxes just so you can fuck over
No,
Doobie.
I mean, I just
Oh,
want.
actually, I'm like
I actually can
100%
convert
behind
Prime.
Doobie,
I
dude.
bet I can convert Prime actually.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh,
I have a line.
I bet
when I was a
you
kid,
cannot.
guys, I was 100% like, if anything had a transaction in any game, in any online thing, whatever, even if I had money, even when I went to the store with my parents and I had the cash in my wallet, right? As a kid, the thing that I did is I went to my parents and I was like, hey, is this a purchase that I can make? And my parents had a conversation with me about it, right? Like teaching
How
your
sweet.
children financial literacy is like really, really fucking important. And if you're so financially unaware that your kid has access to a credit card and can just spend tons and tons of money on apps, like you're like, one, you should be like teaching your kids better financial literacy skills. But two, you're very irresponsible as a parent. You need to figure that shit out.
I mean, like, let's not like put too much pressure on the parents at the same
No,
time.
I'm
though.
putting
It's just
all the
hard.
pressure on the
we
parents.
gotta let some other people.
We
gotta let some other people.
And all these fucking shit ass parents need to learn how to
we
fucking
gotta
parent their
let some
kid.
other.
All right, go ahead.
We gotta let some other people.
How easy it is,
Snakey
bro.
Debate Man and Tiberius.
Yeah, I think we come to a consensus that the fiscal responsibility is on the individual, right? If you're like, what kind of fucking parent lets their kid just spend money on their credit card willy-nilly? Like, they buy all sorts of fucking random shit. I don't know why it's any different with loot boxes, right? It's fucking dumb. Don't let your kid do that. And if it's the kid's money, let them do it, right? They're a fucking kid. They got nothing else to spend their money on than like candy and video games, right? That's fine. But hold on. You should probably teach them that spending all their money on loot boxes is a bad thing, right? But they should have the freedom to make that mistake. It's like your job as a parent to ensure that they have good life decisions, right? That's your job, right? Secondly, Prime, you said like loot boxes and grinding go hand in hand. I mean, yes, a lot of games are very grindy nowadays, but this is also a good thing, right? Because this expands content, and like Top Dolphin said earlier, right? Creators are put under a lot of pressure to put out content, always have updates, keep the game alive, and having like a large amount of content, which often like results in grinding a lot, is actually good. It keeps the game alive. It keeps people invested. It keeps people like, I've got a next milestone to reach. I've got something more to do in the game. I have new content to conquer, right? I'm the grind keeps people invested, and this is very true for a lot.
Imagine a content creator looking for support and getting that support.
Oh boy!
Like for example, like Warframe.
We're gonna have a fight. Go ahead.
Like,
We're gonna have a fight, and then in an hour you're gonna be saying, "Please support my content."
Can I respond?
We're gonna have a fight.
I'm gonna
Sneaky
say,
Debate Man, finish your point.
no loot box.
Sneaky
No
Debate.
loot box time.
Oh my god.
Again, like so like grinding is not necessarily a bad thing. This is okay. Thirdly, you said about like people feeling guilty and spending a bunch of money, right? This is just a factor of like competition in general, right? Like if you feel like you're losing, you're letting the team down, you're gonna feel guilty. It's just how people work, right? Everybody's gonna react like this. I don't think we can like build a system that specifically accommodates for that. It's just like normal to feel that way if you let down the team. And fourthly, let the market decide. All right, I guess like
Y'all are the
rally
worst
to me,
leftists.
right? Rally to me, right?
First of all,
For a reason. Look at like Fortnite, Apex Legends, right? It's like a free-to-play loot box style game, super popular nowadays. Apex Legends and Fortnite, the top two games in the world at the moment, and they're free to play, right? And they
But do you know?
and they
do you
make
know?
profit completely on loot boxes. And if
Do you
you
know
don't
how
engage in that, and you don't
fucking
like the loot
sad
boxes,
this is?
don't.
Do you know how fucking sad this is though? Because literally, like Activision or EA, forget who it was. Respawn is the company that's responsible for developing this game. Respawn is responsible for Titanfall 2, one of the best single-player fucking shooters released in the past decade. The Activision or EA specifically released it between Battlefield 1 and whatever fucking shitty Call of Duty happened there, intentionally to fuck the publisher, so they could then enslave them to become their little fucking loot box, fucking golden goddamn goose. So no, like Apex Legends, while having many of the fucking like gameplay elements that made Titanfall 2 good, this is like catastrophic. Like as a matter of fact, we're missing each other like two boats in the fucking night, okay? You're becoming a fucking ANCAP, and I'm becoming like an authoritarian communist when it comes to market regulation in the video games industry. You know what? The profit in the video games industry is a bad idea, and it destroys good art.
Words out of my head, Connor. You're pissing me off.
First of all,
Ty.
I want to say 2 points really quick. Markets are not
Ty wants to say many points, and he hasn't had a chance to say that. Ty wants to make shut up. Shut up. Ty wants to make many points. He's been waiting as well, so you can go after him. Go ahead.
All right, so to SDM, because yes, I feel the exact same way Connor was, and thank you for stealing the thoughts out of my fucking head, asshole. Okay, anyway, yes, I don't know when you became a lib. Congratulations. We'll have to work that shit out later. Here's the few things. One, there is a difference between like a casino and a venue, right? Can we agree on that? Like there's maybe an atmosphere, there's an expectation that maybe we can agree on that sets a tone that we can talk about with this. The other part is ease, right? I have to go to a casino to gamble more often than not, but now it's super readily available, and we can get an online gambling if we want to talk about that. The other two things I want to hit up real quick. And if you're really concerned with investing in or like helping out a company, did it ever occur to you to actually invest in them, like actually buy stock, gain an asset, maybe get a dividend from that shit? Like, I mean, that's a
Shut up,
far
nerd.
more.
I don't believe in all that.
Right? And then somebody actually kind of hit it to the side. I don't think
That's
streaming.
capitalism.
I know, right? Fucking capitalism. It's like it's based or something. All right. Anyway,
Too much capitalism for me. I don't like that.
the final note, which we can get into, although that's a fucking minefield, is streaming's not loot boxing. Like, Jesus Christ, you know what you're buying into. You've seen what the person's doing. Unless you're a complete fucking dumbass that comes in and just drops $500 on somebody you just fucking met. Largely this is
Fuck you, Tiberius.
This panel is a fucking box of chocolates, bro. Like, I swear to God, this is the biggest example of a loot box you can get. Like, sometimes it's aces, and other times it's fucking yikes, bro. So, you know what I mean? But like, let me say this other thing: capitalism.
I'm the legendary drop. Okay, I'm the legendary
not
drop.
exclusive.
Right.
Hold on. Can somebody
We
do
had
the
the
voice
legendary
though?
drop, so already.
Someone needs to make a graphic of everyone who's
You're all
done
commons,
Prime
okay?
Bills, and then
Commons.
like tier
I'm
them
already
in the
doing
loot
it.
boxes.
I'm already
Somebody
doing
out there
this.
needs
I'm
to
doing
do
this right now.
Reverie is
And
like a
it's-
box of chocolates.
just-
You never
I-
know
and-
what
and
you're gonna
one-
get.
One more side note. That's just a side note because I don't really have much to add to this otherwise. But like this is why we need infrastructure in this country, right? This is why we need internet infrastructure because this is where the economy is. Okay, this is where it's going. So remember that next time it's time to pay your taxes.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
it's your turn, Doobie.
So yeah, I think we pretty solidly destroyed your shitty parenting cope earlier. So I want to move on to the second point, which is that hey, the grind is part of the loot boxing. They're forcing you to grind so you buy the loot box. Sure, okay, but I actually again earlier that this was frustrating to me. I'm gonna go with New World. So in New World, I can't purchase like an XP boost thing, which is really fucking annoying because there are people that play this game 20 fucking 3 hours a day, and I don't want to do that. I would like the luxury of paying to level up in half the time with half the fucking effort, right? And now because I've again built myself a comfortable lifestyle, I can do that. So why should that luxury be taken from me? Because some people can't afford it. Like if they want to let that luxury to level up in half the time, go get a fucking job, pay the fucking $10 a month or whatever it is, buy the XP potions, whatever the fuck they are, and you can level up fast too, right? Like just take some personal responsibility for your fucking life, for what you're doing with your time. If you're spending too much time on this game, go get a job, make a little more money, and then hey, you spend half as much time on the game and have twice as much fun. Just like me, okay?
Take responsibility for your digital life, says Doobie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm
here. Digital frog here.
I'm
okay?
here
Yeah.
is literally a 3D frog. Okay, I'm a digital frog, and I'm telling you, if you don't like that it's so grinded to level up in these games, hey, advocate for there to be loot boxes put into these games and XP boost subscriptions put into these games so you can level up faster. That's what I'm waiting for in New World. I'm so fucking excited for them to do that because I won't need to grind as much. I'll level up. I'll be able to do all the cool shit and wear the cool armor. I'd need that to happen ASAP, Mr. Bates. So if you're listening, please put in loot boxes. I'd like them in your game.
Yeah, I'm actually like it was weird that Prime said that like grinding games is part of the problem. Like I unironically like almost exclusively look for like grind elements in games because I get pissed off when I pay like $60 for a game and then the game's 20 minutes long. Like, oh, okay, like you make it through the story and like, oh, okay, there's nothing else to do now. Like that sucks. I think that this, I mean, maybe it's not your type of game, but there's like a legitimate element that like I do receive some satisfaction whenever I like hit my third prestige in Call of Duty or when I like get to level 99 in a skill in RuneScape. Like that's something, or like there's 200 missions in freaking crap.
Who has
American Made is the king of strawmans. I just want to say.
Yeah,
but
Bam and Sneaking Bait Man. Like, oh, sorry. Actually, no. Let Bam finish. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I'm like I'm the complete. I'm not as far as like SDM. Like I'm not like ANCAP with it. I do think this as society we've already decided that we like we do protect people from themselves to degrees. So like even if it is like, oh yeah, this is the kids' money. Like I don't even want to make the argument of like if this is the parents' money. Even if it's the kids' money, like I do think that if the account is attached to a minor, we can decide that like, oh okay, like yeah, you may get made a like $200 check from like working part-time at McDonald's. Like you don't get to spend all of this in this game right now. I'm sorry. Like minors should be protected from themselves and adults to varying degrees, similar with like gambling.
Okay, all right. So hold on, we got another fight. And Topped Off, and I see your hand, and then we'll go to Tide Bear. Sorry, but Bam and Sneaky Debate Man. All right, like terrible arguments. I expect better of the British, but yeah, well, once again they disappoint. They can't keep an empire, and they can't keep their arguments fucking straight. All right, moving on.
It always comes back to this. Can't refute me. Yeah, but you're British. Okay, got him. End of debate.
So, I love you, Spoon. You're the best. But okay, all right, back to destroying you. Like, we gotta disambiguate a few things here, right? Like, you guys are talking about grinding as if it's all the same. It is not all the same, right? So what I was talking about was way back when, right? When like you could pick up a game and wasn't connected to the fucking internet, right? And it had a ton of content in it, maybe like RPG, that could take you a fucking 100 hours. That's the thing you could do, right? An RPG that has tons of side quests, right? If you want like relatively slow progression, they could give you that, right? And then, right, it has a bunch of unlockables that you get just for playing, nothing else, right? Just for enjoying the game that you want. So, Bam is talking about like, oh, I like those elements. Well, you can have those elements, and you don't have to pay for them, right? There you go, right? So,
look at like,
they
Horizon Zero
do,
Dawn,
but we're not
God of
talking.
War, Skyrim,
We are not
Fallout.
Great. We're not talking about that. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, sure, fine. It still exists, but like,
I'm sorry, games got more complicated.
Oh my god. Anyway, but moving along, right? Let's disambiguate that from games that specifically have you grind, right? Not to get an item, but to get a virtual currency, right? A virtual currency in which you can accumulate to eventually be able to buy an item, right? To buy those things. And they set the rate of growth of accumulation so that it specifically frustrates you. I don't know why you guys want this. Is it like they wouldn't have the loot boxes in there if it didn't frustrate you to begin with? If most people aren't chumps like DP, right? So most people were just like, okay, I'm just gonna play the game, now get the item. But they specifically set the rate so it's damn near impossible. There was this one game, I think it was FIFA, right? I think it was FIFA, where someone calculated how much time, right, you'd have to play the game. It might have been NBA 2K. How much time you have to play the game to like get everything, and it was literally years to make it happen. Years. Why? Why would that be the case?
Nobody buys FIFA games.
Specifically, okay, sure, Rob.
They do in England.
Yeah,
whatever.
Like,
nobody wants the
but
shit.
Specifically to frustrate you, and then there's another layer. Because that's like the old way of doing this. Okay, so I just grind and I accumulate these gold bits or whatever the fuck, right? And I can buy the item. Like, well, no, hold your horses. Because now they have multiple currencies. They have multiple currencies that overlap, right? And do different things and confuse you. And one of those currencies you're gonna have to buy fucking directly. And guess what? If you use that currency, it's the cheapest and the fastest and the most effective, the one that takes out of your pocket. Why do you want abusive game mechanics?
Why would they do the opposite? Why would they be like, oh, you have to pay for this one and it's less effective? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even consider that abusive, right? This is just, if you have the ability to purchase this thing to give yourself a boost, it's just a luxury that's afforded to you.
Like this is specifically about mobile games. Like this is like
this sounds being rich. This sounds
happening. Okay, look. why should that luxury be taken away from me because some people can't afford it, or
Because
some people
it's
get
not even a
frustrated?
luxury.
Or some people,
No.
some people get frustrated when they see me going by my cool like blood horse and shit. Like, why? Fuck
Why
that.
should
Hold on.
houses cost so much?
This is why I
Okay.
say, like, let the market decide, right? If the game is overly grindy and unenjoyable as a result, people won't play the fucking game, right? It's a bad game. People will be like, fuck this game. This game is bad. So they have
Exactly.
to say,
That doesn't
right?
seem to happen.
Hold on,
No,
right? So
it
they
does
have to,
happen.
hold on,
People are
hold on.
leaving
So
World of Warcraft.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. So
in
they have
droves.
to, so they have to set the boundary for grinding to the point where it's enjoyable yet still difficult. Yet like it still takes time, and that's what like keeps people interested in a game. That's why games die. Like for example, Warframe. Right, Warframe is excessively grindy. Holy fuck, right? I have like 2,000 hours into Warframe. Warframe is extremely grindy. As a result, it's fucking dying, right? Because people are bored of the grind fest to get all the fucking like the high tier items and all that shit, and having to buy the premium currency. Whereas,
Okay, yeah, hold on.
like otherwise, you've got games where, like for example, like Apex Legends. Again, this is such a good example of a game like done interacting with the market, right? Again, Apex Legends, you get a loot box like every 2 levels, and you can level up like fairly quickly. Even at the higher levels, you can level up fairly quickly, which means you get cosmetics.
I'll say
right?
one more thing.
Like
Then
I
I'll
like
go to
like,
I go to
like
Top Dolphin.
400 in fucking Apex. I got loads of fucking free shit.
I'll say one more thing. I'll go to Top Dolphin in the counter, right? Because Top Dolphin's been waiting on in Thai. Okay. Like, fuck. You said Apex Legends. Oh, god damn it. What was I gonna say? All right. I guess I'll have to wait on that one. All right, Top Dolphin.
Yeah, I think there's like wait, hold on, Prime. Was it about the let the market decide thing?
Fuck no.
No.
Sorry.
Okay. I thought I might have had it. But yeah, I think that like I kind of agree with the let the market decide thing to a point. And I think there are steps that can be taken in certain places. For example, on like when we talked about like, oh, parents shouldn't have the responsibility to like constantly like know everything in the future about a thing that they buy when they buy it, which is kind of ridiculous. I do think that like parents should definitely keep up with the things that their children are using. At the same time, something that like I know the Apple App Store and then probably the Play Store has done as well is whenever you buy something that has microtransactions in the app or in-app purchases, it tells you like right before you download it. It makes you like click a thing away, right? There's probably a setting if you have like kids mode on your kid's device that you could like say, oh, I don't want my kids to be able to use in-app purchases without a password, or I don't want my kids to be able to access an app that has in-app purchases. There's a ton of ways that we can like restrict these things from kids without saying, oh, fuck all the, just because it makes bad games means that we should like outlaw it. Like, sure, I agree. I think that like there's a lot of, I think like Star Wars Battlefront 2, it would take like 4,500 hours or $2,100 to unlock everything in the game, right? And that's a lot of fucking time. I think 4,500 hours is about 6 or 7 months of uninterrupted gameplay. Which realistically, if you pay like less than that, it turns out being years and years and years. Which really, really fucking sucks. And I didn't buy that game because I heard it really, really fucking sucked. And what we need to stop doing is like funding games that are doing this, and let the people who play them, who like it, like Doobie, play those games and enjoy it. And we can all go play the free games or the games that like The Witcher and Skyrim that are out that are really fucking awesome and don't have all these microtransactions. And kind of like let the market decide on the games like that. But when it comes to like serving loot boxes to children, for sure, there's a lot of reasonable restrictions that we can put in place so that kids aren't just out here like spending money. But also, parents should stop being shit.
I want to disambiguate between quick. That's I remember my point, and then it's Connor and Ty. But like it was that I want to disambiguate between like free to play games, because I think the market. I mean, I do think they have to make their money somewhere, right? And like. So there's that, and that's why Warframe does a better job of this than others, right? It's a free-to-play game, but it's not nearly as exploitative as others, right? So there's ways to do this where you can still make a tidy profit, and
in Warframe you can't trade the premium currency unless you bought some of the premium currency.
So,
you can't interact with the market in Warframe unless you have paid real money to do so.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get too distracted with that, but like, my point is that there's a difference between that and a $60 game that you have bought, right? But it becomes like the base price of the game, because then there's of course like the upgraded versions, right? Like, did you get the ultra tier gold list version of the game, right? To get all that stuff that came out at that time, right? So get like a bunch of items. So that's one version of the game, right? So that's like $100 fucking, right? And then when you get into the game, it's like, oh yeah, but to still get everything, right, we'll have to go and do a loot box. Some things you can't get from anything but a loot box, right? So it becomes
a live service, aren't they? So like they have to keep the game like flowing. They have to keep revenue income.
We're gonna fight. Oh my god! All right, so
and that's what you want, right? You want the game to stay alive. You want new content.
All right, Spoon. I don't care.
Connor and Ty.
Yeah. So okay. So just to kind of summarize my position on this, listen. The kids, I get it. Parents shouldn't be shit, and then on top of that, they are going to notice when their credit card goes through, so they'll probably cancel it, and then if they don't Google parental controls, that's kind of their fault. I understand that. That's perfectly fine, but I still think we shouldn't be encouraging kids to, basically play into addictive systems. When it comes to adults, I defend Doobie's right to engage in cringe by buying sweet armor sets and all that kind of shit, so he can look like the top tier badass without putting in the hours. But this is kind of like I'm talking about cultural pressure. What should we expect out of the gaming industry? What should we reward with money? What should we reward with time and attention? And I think Apex, while not being perfect, actually I'm okay with, because as far as I understand it, the EA and Activision model was you can literally buy to be better in the game. So if you drop like $120 or whatever, you can be better than everybody else and kick everybody's ass, which basically makes people who don't have money not enjoy the game and they leave. And that was actually a pretty toxic model. Whereas with Apex in particular, I'm pretty sure it's cosmetics only, and also Halo Infinite is supposed to be released in December. I'm pretty sure that's going to be cosmetics only. That to me is perfectly fine, because then if rich kids want to fucking flex, they want to get the sweet like Hayabusa armor or whatever, then they can get pwned by my poor ass kid when he's fucking 13, and he can be in the fucking default like fucking Spoon said. But at the same time, the question is like, what do we want to incentivize as a culture? And just saying, like, it's so fucking weird when, like, we get into like leftists who want to defend like every aspect of society except for video games. Like, I seriously feel like I'm in a fucking like ANCAP fucking like room specifically for this one subject, whereas the logic does not apply in any other subject. So I just want
to point out that you just described the capitalist system and you said it was toxic and terrible.
Yeah, but I'm a mixed economy capitalist. Like I'm not okay with dumping radiological sludge into the rivers, whereas Doobie is like, actually, radiological sludge in rivers creates new and diverse wildlife, and it's actually based.
I mean, there is research that supports that.
They create free frogs like that one.
Yeah,
that's his origin story right there.
Sneaky is three-eyed fish from Simpsons.
Yeah, Sneaky is like, let the market decide if you and your family get poisoned. All right, Ty, go ahead.
Yeah, Connor hit point one for me, so I'll hit 2 and 3. My thoughts on XP boost and grinding. I know we keep paralleling into that. I don't know why. Most of those, at least from my experience, are like, hey, look, get this XP boost. This is how much you pay for it. This is how long it lasts. And you get like double or triple or 50% more or some shit. That's completely on board for me. I don't see how that's that much loot boxy. The other thing I want to hit in is because it was mentioned, but we didn't really get into it. Cost of games. Games are a lot more complex now. I think people need to accept the fact that we're not going to have $60 games anymore. That's just the reality. These games require a lot more development. They require a lot more time. And especially if you're going to actually have something on release that isn't buggy as all hell, is that it takes a lot of testing, takes a lot of alpha and beta. And usually that means a lot of development time and a lot of costs. We're not going to see $60 games anymore. If it is, it's probably going to be shit. Don't get me wrong. There's exceptions. I love my Factorio. But more often than not, that's not going to be the norm.
All right. Fucking Sneaky, right? You made a terrible point. Respond to. And if Madeline wants to say something, I want to make sure.
Oh, am I going to say something now?
You didn't raise your hand. I'm sorry. You never raise your hand. You never fucking raise your hand. Any which way.
Sorry. I should have just bought the loot box that let me raise my hand.
Oh my god.
It's your turn loot box.
So
No,
Like,
he
Every
actually
time I
can't
raise my
because
hand, I'll tell this
his
shit the
daughter
fuck
put a
up.
pin on his phone and he can't figure it out to pay the money.
No. You raise your hand. You raise your hand while I'm talking and start talking yourself, and then you're like, I raised my hand. While I'm like, whatever.
Madeline actually talk like 50% of the time.
Yeah,
I get
right?
no position to
hold
this-
like I don't get to
Yo,
say
I
anything.
don't get to say anything. All
Yo,
right, so
I am
he
a
should-
victim here. I have been victimized this entire panel. I don't
But
know
he
what
should,
the fuck's
yeah,
wrong.
but he should have to, like, if he wanted to get into the game faster, he should have to dono since he's supporting loot boxes.
I'm
You know,
number 3, and apparently it's not
XP
good enough. I have to be number 1.
XP bonus.
So Activision, I believe it was Activision or it's EA. It's one of those terrible companies, right? But let's go with Activision because they're pretty shit. Like you were talking about how they just have to use these monetization methods, right? Because or else how will we support the game, guys? There would be no money for the game, guys. It would all fall apart. Like if it wasn't for the loot boxes, right? Like it has to happen, right? Just like we have to raise the price of games, all that has to happen. Or we just can't get the quality of games anymore. Okay,
Wait, hold on, what?
It was your point. Then your shit too. Don't worry. This comes. Then you can share. You can share this.
Hold on.
Share,
if you want the game to stay alive,
right?
it needs revenue to stay alive.
I got 2 feet for both of your asses. Moving on. So Activision, and I believe it's Activision, right? They made billions, literally billions of profit, right? They had a banner record year. And what do you know what they did, right? You know what they did? They say, oh, well, we didn't actually meet expectations for the titles we published. Yeah, we didn't actually meet expectations. And you know what? We're gonna have to fire some developers. There's no choice about we're broke. We gotta fire some developers. This is the type of capitalism you are fucking defending. You sneaky to beat me, all right? Mister, I'm a fucking lefty bullshit, right?
How are these things related?
This is
how is
exactly,
EA being bad to their workers related to loot boxes?
How is exploitation related to exploitation? I don't know. Let me draw you a fucking picture. Let me do it for you.
Here's exploitation. Here's exploitation. They're both exploitation. It's the same thing.
Exploitation within the same fucking business. Let me do that for you, right? Like they exploit you, right? Another chump, right? Along with your friend Doobie, great.
I don't even buy loot boxes.
Yeah, you're another. Oh, okay. So you're a chump apologist. Even better.
The default
a
skin.
chump. Once again,
coming from the guy who's got
we found
79 people on this channel working for free, so he can make money, right?
Oh.
All right, pointing that out.
We found the what's his name? The Hitler apologist, the Prime Minister.
Neville Chamberlain.
Thank you.
That
Neville
really important fella? Yeah, that guy.
The Neville Chamberlain of the loot boxes here. All right. I'm not nice to myself, but like, I'll sure.
So, Prime,
okay.
do you agree that in order to keep a game alive, in order to like maintain it and have live servers and put out new updates, right? They need money to do that.
No.
Right.
Oh, okay.
They need money to do that.
Oh no, Prime wants to go back to
So,
the days when video
what is
games were
what is a
all
better
all
source of
monetization-
money
not all
than the game
monetizations.
itself?
Even if
right?
I
can't-
gave you
I can't
that,
think
for
of one.
instance, like for a fighting game, like for Street Fighter, right? Even if I gave you that, not all monetization schemes are the same, right? Like just giving a regular DLC. I mean, I still kind of hate it, but like, still, just a regular DLC with a brand new character, new content, new stages, right? Yeah, that's how you could do it. That way. That non-exploitive way. You can just buy the thing that you want, right? Oh, I want this new costume for fucking Ryu. So I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to get it. That's simple. That's how you could do it. So once again, crushed. But again, with this exploitation, like they say, right? They say we desperately need this monetization to make ends meet. Or also be broke. We can't have the level of quality of games that we have, right? Even though the quality of games are kind of shit sometimes, lots of times actually, right? But they'll say that they can't do it, and then they'll say, well, we didn't meet expectations. They set expectations ridiculously high. They can have literally a record-breaking game for that title, right? Like that series, a record-breaking title in that series, and then still say, well, we didn't meet expectations. And so we're going to have to cut our workforce. So we're not going to have to give them bonuses, right? They do this all the time. And people like you fucking run interference for them. All right, Mad Latin.
What?
No,
I don't
so,
understand how these
okay,
things
hold
are
on.
related.
So
How
I'm
are
gonna
they
push back on
related?
this like really hard because like yeah, there's companies that are exploiting workers, but that doesn't actually directly involve the loot boxes. Yes, the companies are
Yes,
exploiting loot boxes,
exactly.
but these are two different like exploitations, right?
Yes.
They're different. They're
Yeah.
separate.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
but
we can talk
I
about the
don't
loot
understand how they
boxes
relate.
without talking about
What?
the workers for the company that are
No,
suffering under this.
no.
Absolutely.
Okay, I understand how the exploitation is different, but unethical actions in one is going to be indicative of the other. Like so, for
No,
instance, like
not
when
at all.
somebody's
so
willing,
you can say that
somebody's
someone,
willing to cut corners and be a shitmeister in one area is more likely to indicate whether or not they're going to be an asshole in another one. Absolutely,
right.
it does.
So I
That's what I'm
agree that
talking
if
about.
someone is shitty to the
Activision
workers,
Blizzard put like
I will
one of
say
the
someone
best
shitty
games
to-
out there, Overwatch, when it comes to monetization. Everything's cosmetic. You get access to like all the characters on launch. Like this is the most like loot box positive experience of a loot box ever is Overwatch, right? And that game was created by Activision Blizzard, the guys who are like firing their workforce because like these things are completely disconnected. The one doesn't you could say that one might indicate that they might do the other, but one is not causing the other in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But-
and
but
Activision
hold
Blizzard
on.
is the same company that did Hearthstone as well and the Call of Duty stuff
Okay,
where there is like a lot of exploitation. So it's possible.
Okay, but Top Dolphin and Mad Latin, I'm pretty sure if you walked into like the Activision Blizzard thing and you're like, hey, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on releasing loot boxes in Overwatch in the most based way possible. It was absolutely fucking awesome. You know, you didn't exploit anybody. It was great. Then they're going to be like, we fucked up. And then they're going to go back and they're going to fuck it up. Like,
Okay.
So their benevolence in this one situation was actually a mistake.
I just want to say,
They know that. Like,
I feel about game coders the way
that way.
I feel about game coders the way Doobie feels about fucking drug dealers. Okay, like I think that you all get thrown in a wood chipper, and like that would make society a much better.
Whoa, no, we need our games, we need our creatives, we need our developers. All right, like this is a very important aspect of our lives. I don't want to have to resort to painting fucking Warhammer figures to get my fix, okay?
But
like,
you might be a better person if you did.
I don't know, like I got into it for a second. I started painting Christmas ornaments, and I thought, is this what like Warhammer painting is like?
No.
And then I was like, wait, no, I don't want to do this.
It's
And
very
looks like-
detailed. It requires, it requires effort and shading and glazing and lighting.
That stuff is
Is that fire in the back? Are those like clear wings?
It is a custom jump pack, and I get to roll dice and imagine these dudes shooting other real dudes in the face. So I mean, it's
when they jump, do you actually lift them to their location?
Yeah, and I make the sound too. I go.
You make little. Oh God.
Okay, I mean,
Connor,
I'm into
you're
it.
gonna
I'm into it.
shit talk
I'm not
me
gonna
for
lie.
buying a cool
I'm
like
into it.
in-game house in ESL. Like what the fuck?
Listen, okay, but here's the problem though, Doobie, is like I know you're talking about like badass houses and like flame outfits, but I also know that like you probably bought like the skimpy white lace bikini for the big
Okay. I don't look. Look, okay, I got to make a statement really quickly. If you're a dude, if you're a straight dude, and you're playing a female character in like in an MMO, you're not that straight. Okay, like I'm sorry, like don't give me this excuse.
No.
I'm gonna be looking at the ass the entire time, so I'd rather be a woman's ass. Fuck that. If you're playing a woman in an MMO and you're a straight dude, you're not as if you think.
Wait.
Why would you say something so brave and so
exception
controversial to leftists everywhere?
The exception is if the woman character has better hitboxes. Okay.
No,
it's gay to play Tomb Raider.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty gay to play. Yeah, you play it understanding that you're controlling a woman as a man should, right? So you're in the male perspective. But you can never understand her experience, right? You're outside. You're a god puppeteering this woman around.
Grass, yeah.
Me and Dewey have agreed about literally everything all night tonight. I want to make a point of that point.
Do not take the bait.
What happened to the show?
I took it and I enjoyed it.
Oh god.
That's what she said.
I'll only speak the truth.
Yeah. I noticed that. Gooby, I've noticed that.
I think you don't lie, but I also don't think you only speak the truth.
True. No, you're British, so who cares?
I feel like Doobie is short for like dubious Maximus. I'm just saying, like.
No, okay, if you guys think that's controversial, like, why? If I'm a straight dude, right? Why would I want to be playing like in an RPG, especially, right? When I think typically the way that I play an RPG is I try to make the character look like me in some way, right? And I'm imagining, oh, cool, I'm the dude with the fucking spells and the sword beating everybody up, right?
And you make them
Like,
look
in
like a
some
frog.
way. Yeah, I'd make him look like a frog.
I mean, like,
Um,
literally, you're a frog right now. Are
so
you
why
telling
is that?
me?
Why? Well, okay, so if and I imagine, of course, that everybody thinks exactly the way that I do, plays exactly the way that I do.
Of course, yeah.
So when they are playing this game, can they really put themselves in the mind of a woman? In like, why? It's just, and then they start putting the skimpets on, like Connor said, and
like
putting the skimpy. Yeah, if you're playing an RPG
Hey,
role playing,
Maybe
they
they're
start putting on the
playing
skimpy
their
outfits.
There's
outfits,
two types of
I will
and it
kill
just
this
becomes,
goblin in the
and the game
mindset of a
turns
woman.
into like the game turns into like fucking hundreds of like cat girls running around with like booby armor. And it's just, and you know that behind every one of these cat girls is a sweaty dude who hasn't showered in 3 days. It's not cool. I don't like it.
I am the
I was
I was about to say,
I mean,
so Doobie,
until
let's be very clear.
They're
There's two
these are
very distinct
avatars,
types of
right?
gamers when it comes to this, right? All right, so there's for one, I usually play male characters just because I want my character to look like me. I'm just like Doobie.
sus already.
But there's two examples in games where I've played female characters. One of them was Terra. I was an MMO, and it was pretty shit, but it was a fun game. And in that game,
wait, real
there
quick, guys,
was
look
a
up
class,
Terra.
right?
Look up Terra, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, people in
I
chat,
mean,
look up
okay.
Terra. You'll see what he's
Hold
talking
on.
about.
There was a class in the
Leave
game that was
anti-booby
restricted
game, okay?
exclusively to female characters. All right, and it was badass. You got to punch people with like gauntlets and shit. And I was like, I want to punch people, but I got to be a woman to do it. All right. The second example is I can't even remember the name of this game, but there's a game where it was like a PvP game, and the female hitbox was just so much smaller that it made it harder for people to shoot you. And so I picked a female character in that game because I wanted to be harder for you to shoot. Some of us
Was that
No,
Gun?
stop, wait, hold on.
Guns,
we
right?
take whatever armor gives us the best fucking chance at not getting hit. And if it's the skimpy bikini one, we take the skimpy bikini one. So instead, you should blame devs for making the skimpy bikini armor powerful and take other games.
Alex, so I really
specifically-
quickly. I'm sorry, really quickly. Top Dolphin, if the hitboxes are better, like for women characters, there's a good reason for that. Okay, women tend to be less aggressive, less competitive.
Oh my God! Kill me!
A little bit.
No.
You should
Gender realism and
all
all
bonuses. I get to be a man who's more aggressive and gets to fight things, and I get
Oh
to
my
skip
God.
the hitbox.
understand that the hitbox is part of the male burden. Like it's part of life.
Okay. That's
but-
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well,
But,
like,
but
okay.
I was gonna say this is mostly a joke session, but unironically, like any black person who's ever played a video game before 2015, first of all, we were lucky to get the option to change skin color in the game,
Right.
and we didn't get the option to make them look like ourselves because like the only haircut options we have is afros, sometimes dreadlocks,
And a
and flat
buzz
tops.
cut.
That's the
Not
only
even
thing.
afros.
Yeah,
Not
that's
even
the
afros
only.
at the time.
Yeah, that's the only hairstyles we get. So like the modern idea of like emulating the character as yourself, that is like a very new situation for like video games.
It's a very
for,
white.
like,
Must
yeah.
nice.
Let's say it the way it is. That's a very
my
white.
character
As a
is
Must
black
be
man
nice
with,
to have
like,
that privilege.
All of
medium
mine
skin.
look
I
just
either
like
had to
me.
pick the guy that looked like fucking dark as midnight, or I had to pick the guy that looked like Hispanic, and there was no in between. Like,
Speaking
hold
of
on,
which,
still
hold on.
exists
I'm
to this
embarrassed.
day.
I've
I
had.
was
I
embarrassed
just
for a
want-
second.
My skin
Like,
color
all
to
the
be in the game, so I can look like the game can look like me. Okay.
Now hold on.
Right.
Now I can actually sympathize with that. So I'm a brown person. I don't know why Mad Lab would assume I'm white. I'm a brown person, right? And I've had exactly that.
You can't design
Trying
yourself
to-
in a video game.
Trying to match up. No, I can.
You just
right? I'm a
said you
brown-
did. Which
Wait,
is it?
not in all games. It's just like Bim said. For a long time, it was like either I'm a pale white dude or I'm like super black. No in between, right? So trying to match, or if they had like an option that was close to my skin color, it was like yellowish and looked weird as fuck, and it made the face look all crazy. It was just a bad time, right? So like for a long time, I didn't have that luxury, but still, that didn't push me to even though I like that disconnect right from the character I'd like to make. that didn't mean that I could go and pick a female character and not be a weirdo running around in like skimpy outfits like most of the female characters.
Why do you keep calling out leftists to their face like this, Doobie? This is fucking.
Bro, this is.
Wait, I will take it a step further.
This
Anybody
is
who has fucking
apolitical.
anime
I
girl
have-
profile pictures in Discord need to get the fuck out. Okay, you're
Hold on.
fucking weirdos.
Bro,
90%
You are calling out half
No,
of
listen,
Prime's
listen.
audience. What are you
90%.
Listen.
time.
I have okay. 90% of the people I've interacted with on Discord, right? Especially, either if you have an anime profile picture, you're either Nazi or you're someone who likes kids a little too much. You're a fucking weirdo.
For the record, mine is a CIA challenge coin, but it does have an anime PFP.
I said specifically anime girl PSPs. Okay.
I
It's
think
just
I-
well,
I-
whatever.
I just picked the character that looks the coolest, right? Like I played like Outriders and all the men look like that fucking like that one orc from Lord of the Rings with like the fucking potato face. So I didn't pick the man, the woman, because she just looked cooler. I don't know. I didn't really think about it to like this level. Like, oh wait, but if I pick the woman, am I impersonating the female psyche? What does this mean? Do I act as a woman? Do I play as a woman? No, I just picked the one that looked fucking coolest.
Hey,
I don't
I'm
know.
not saying
Don't
that's
really
not the
think about
reason
this
you
so much.
picked it.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're
saying people who pick that kind of shit tend to be kind of weird. You might be
No, I
kind of
mean,
weird,
no,
dog. That's all I'm
like,
saying.
I know.
Yeah.
I've definitely had like cyber sex and like mobile games like IMVU, and I've realized when I was 17 that like every one of them were dudes. Every
I'm
one of them,
done.
they had to be.
I'm
It was like a
done.
99% they were dudes.
You just have cyber sex with dudes. It's like that's part of the contract.
It
Okay,
is.
you just don't ask. Okay, back in the day, you just didn't ask. There was no voice chat. They were a girl. You're just like, all right, we're doing this.
there's that green text meme where it's like, you know, I'm not gay, but then I went to a glory hole, and after 8 minutes, I heard the moan of a dude. I've been sucking a wait. I thought
Yeah,
I
I've been
was sucking a
and then I
girl's
realized I
dick.
was sucking a dude's dick this whole time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You see what video games do to you, chat?
Yeah.
You guys are weird, man. I don't know. You're like Jordan Petersoning video games. You're like the male mindset and the female impersonation of the video games. Like, fuck
Yeah.
it, just play the game, you
Well,
weirdo.
okay,
The-
I got introduced to VR chat last night, right? By
I'm sorry.
I know. Okay, it's actually really fucking interesting.
Are you gonna buy all the loot boxes in that
she
game?
has no, hold on. She has like a full body like setup, right? So her whole body is like tracked by the VR thing, and she was showing me how there's like DJs, and there are people who are like actually like they lap dancers, and they get paid to give people lap dances in VR chat, and they're doing like cartwheels and shit around their bedrooms while wearing these tracker things. It's really fucking weird. And I
He meant to say cool.
it's really fucking weird.
I heard it. You
No,
heard it.
It's really fucking weird. It's cool, but it's weird. Like she was talking about like phantom touch. Like sometimes people get so immersed because they're like in full body VR and you know with everything that if someone touches them in game, they feel it, and it's like some phenomenon that people that get really into VR and get really immersed go through. So they have like virtual like VR sex, right? Where they're like jerking each other off, and they actually like feel like they can feel it. Right? It's really weird. But it's interesting. It made me think of Ready Player One. You know that movie that came out recently in that old book. And maybe and I had the same experience. There are tons of like cat girls in skimpy outfits running around. All of them had male voices, right? So like it's I don't know. I think there's something really weird about it. It creeps me out.
I wanna share my thumbnail title before we wrap up, which is Aliens and Digital Glory Holes. Like
I just want to share that I'm glad
That's a
that
fantastic thumbnail. Yeah.
I'm glad that the fertility rate in males is dropping off because like we really don't need to perpetuate this bullshit. Like honestly.
It should sound like people buy like what do they call it? It's teledildonics is what it's called. Like sex toys that are connected to the internet, and if a dude's just thrusting into the sex toy, the woman can feel it. So they're like mass like they're it's.
Isn't that already a thing with pillows?
I am very intrigued just because I want to see how degenerate this gets.
totally.
And now that I know that you can buy little puck things and wear them, I'm probably gonna fucking do that and come on here with the VR thing at some point. It's fucking hilarious. It's great.
It's already a real
And
thing
I
with,
won't
like,
be a
sex
woman.
toy underwear. I know sex toy underwear exists where you can like use your mobile phone and like touch and it feels like real touch. That's like crazy.
That's like
It's
10
like
levels in your-
it's like
It's like
a-
already
it's
a thing.
It's like a
Okay.
sleeve. that
Is
the
there a
guy has.
return to sender for this panel?
And then the woman still though like moves as he's pressing.
Okay, fuck
Oh,
this. Dude, listen,
it's
like,
very interesting.
Revolt Rise is like I don't want to buy into his cynicism that the human race just needs to die off, but this entire past 3 hours, like I'm coming around.
We should have talked about this part
I am
first. and then the
pro-eugenic
civil
now.
warfare,
Totally
right?
pro-eugenic.
Oh my god.
Listen, the United States of America, because of English colonialism and the Opium Wars, we deserve loot boxes.
Look,
And we
capitalism.
deserve our digital pseudo-plastic vaginas that bring about
The Ouroboros
Loot boxes
capitalism
is the
finally
gateway
got
to
stone
digital
tail.
degeneracy.
This was okay. Bringing it all the way back to Mad Ladin's point. Digital plastic hybrid vaginas are the existential filter that will destroy the human race, and this is the thing that will keep us from colonizing the stars. This is what will keep us from colonizing the stars.
And we need to have battles on the moon to decide who gets to have the robot vaginas.
All of our research is going to robots that build robots that play video games about building robots, and that's going to be the whole fucking society. Let's go.
Oh my god.
Hey, we need something to do.
Prime, we really need to get into VR chat. Okay,
How you feel about that?
Can you tell me about
do
orgy
not go into
rooms?
VR chat.
We're just ready to start.
You're just telling me
sucking
about
off
orgy
you guys
rooms,
at the same
right?
time and go chat.
Like orgy rooms. So you have like a puddle of cat people, right? And they're all like moaning into their mics. It reminded me. It reminded me of when. Okay, stop. It reminded me of when I ran into the Gooning server on Discord, which was literally a volition of 40 dudes masturbating for 6 hours straight, like edging. Like it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do not go in there with a
It's so weird. But okay, it was weird, but it was so interesting. I'd go in there all the time and like try to talk to them.
All the time.
And, like, shut the fuck up.
all the time.
Yeah, and try to talk to them.
Do be like,
Okay,
it's
'cause
weird
the-
when you play
hold
a
on.
girl, then hangs
No,
out with
shut up.
40
Yeah.
masturbating
Yeah,
guys.
dude, I'm gonna say it's a
doing that all the
I mean, it's
time.
okay, but it's a little sex
Oh
that
my
you
God.
Go ahead,
It's weird when you play a girl, though. That's weird.
Yeah.
Look, listen. So imagine a volition on Discord with 40 dudes with their like using voice activity, so you can hear their moans and shit, and you can hear weird sounds in the background.
Wait.
And
you're
they're
just
listening-
Amaranth chat.
And they're listening to like guided like masturbation thing. I don't know what to even call it, right?
JOI.
It's about-
Jerk off instructions.
About like a vampire sucking out their masculinity and shit like that. Very strange, right? And so I would go in there all the time, right, and try to talk to these people, and they'd get really mad at me for trying to talk while they're gooning, because it's like gooning is like getting edging for so long that you become like a goon to your penis is what it is, right? You're like a minion for your penis. They'd get mad at me, right? But I'm like, hey, I mean, do you guys ever like get rashes? Like, you've been doing this for like hours. Like, dude, you've been here for like 4 hours. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
I'm
was-
looking
it
for
was
an
the
escape
weirdest-
pod for this panel now.
You gotta
I look,
Check this out.
I was just trying to understand them, okay? And what happened is I introduced my friend group to it, and they went in there and started trolling these people and got me banned and really hurt my feelings.
All right.
The
so
gooning
going back to
server,
VR
if you guys
chat
hear me,
for just a
please send an
second.
invite. It wasn't me, please.
So going back to VR chat, what we should do though is we should have a VR chat panel.
No.
We should all sit at the table
No, I'm
and
good.
debate each other in VR chat.
No, we should have a fucking no anime people panel and keep all the fucking frogs out of here.
Look,
Yeah, I'm gonna be a
It's
big
not
kitty
about-
I'm sorry, it's
animal
not personally
in the
just
VR
Davey, it's all the
chat
people
panel.
who are fucking too
with
scared to
my
show their
voice.
fucking face.
No, you can't shoot down Eris like that. Come on.
Oni-chan, please
Okay.
let me retort that point.
Hey, I love some of them. Dude, he's a
Listen,
great guy. I love
what
Doobie,
is-
but
what is-
fuck the people who use
Okay.
fucking
Oh.
VR icons or
I
whatever.
don't even know Doobie's a guy. I was gonna say he could be playing a girl's
Yeah.
right now.
True. That's true.
He's already playing a frog.